Thank you. We meet today to begin to understand how Bernard Madoff allegedly swindled thousands of innocent investors, effectively stole billions of dollars, and evaded securities regulators already tipped off about this unprecedented alleged Ponzi scheme. The allegations that Mr. Madoff stands at the center of a $50 billion scam simply shock the conscience. These deeply disturbing events have raised even more troubling questions about the effectiveness of our regulatory system. I have long stressed the need for pursuing comprehensive regulatory reform, and I have convened hearings to advance these initiatives in the past. But before we act on legislation in the 111th Congress to restructure the regulatory system for the financial services industry and enhance investor protection, we need to understand how Mr. Madoff organized his many business operations and how he perpetrated his alleged fraudulent acts. Today, we will hear from experts in the financial world, including the Inspector General, the head of the Securities Investor Protection Corporation, and academics. They will help the Congress begin to unravel this tangled web. We will also hear from a Madoff victim to help us all understand the dire implications this ruse has had for individual investors, charitable organizations, and pension funds. This meeting to discuss the Madoff affair will also be the first of several public proceedings. At future hearings, we will hear from senior officials of the Securities Exchange Commission and from Harry Markopolos, who has asked us to temporarily postpone his testimony so that he can better prepare for our questions. We will need to hear from other financial services regulators as well. We also need to hear from auditors and their overseers. This elaborate Ponzi scheme fell through the cracks of our regulatory system. From what we have all learned in the press, it now appears that regulators should have detected the Madoff wrongdoing earlier because of red flags raised by others. Authorities received information about potential problems when outsiders like Mr. Markopolos could not create a model that matched the results of Mr. Madoff's purported strategy. Others published articles as early as 2001 raising questions about Mr. Madoff's firm. Other red flags include unrealistically steady investment returns and an auditor the size of a mouse examining the fund the size of an elephant. Perhaps most shocking, after Mr. Madoff misled government examiners and after he was then forced to register as an investment advisor, the Commission did not conduct any subsequent inspections. Moreover, in its prior examinations, the Commission failed to effectively use its subpoena powers to obtain any records other than those voluntarily offered. In the wake of this unprecedented financial crisis, we now know that our securities regulators have not only missed opportunities to protect investors against massive losses from the most complex financial instruments like derivatives, but they have also missed the chance to protect them against the simplest of schemes, the Ponzi scheme. Clearly, our regulatory system has failed miserably, and we must rebuild it now. As we resurrect our regulatory structure, we must ensure that regulators have the resources that they need to get the job done. A former chairman of the Commission, Arthur Levitt, has noted that the agency's enforcement unit is chronically understaffed, whereas it had 433 people in the Office of Compliance and Examinations looking at 8,000 advisors 2 years ago. Today it has 400 people looking at 11,000 advisors and thousands of mutual funds. Moreover, the number of investment advisors subject to the Commission's oversight has doubled since 1997. While we do not know if the Commission's oversight in this case can be blamed on a lack of resources, we can certainly work to make sure adequate staff and powers are available in the future. As an adjunct to that comment, may I point out, and this is done for the purposes of our recognition, that sometimes our overzealousness has caused us a major problem, and that overzealousness This was caused in 2001, I'm sorry, when this committee entertained legislation and adopted that legislation at the committee level, sent it to the House, and passed it, where we cut appropriations and fees paid to the Commission over 10 years of $14 billion, when it was said by the majority at that time that these funds were not necessary, that there was sufficient staffing at the Securities Exchange Commission, and now we see that that is not the case. Now, I point that out not from a blame standpoint or a political standpoint, but I pointed out that all of us better check our memories and remember what we did these last 10, 12, or 15 years, and how this committee, perhaps even the Congress, but certainly some people that are responsible for oversight and control, perhaps missed the boat in this situation. I hope we don't do that again, and that's the reason I want us to consider that. We must also take action to better protect all investors, from elderly widows to sophisticated market participants. There are many ideas on how we can accomplish this objective. The Congress will review these options. In the Madoff case, legal authorities will be tasked with finding